it became pretty obvious pretty quickly that we were in deep pocket kind of territory, serious record deal kind of territory.
Another artist you've got that I think might have done the same or done that thing is South Arcade. And they're going to Atlantic.
Yeah, so we're actually still in deal. We have a couple of songs to go, but yes, it's been announced and done for a while now that band is signing to Atlantic, US. It was a futures deal, so yes, band. It was a JV with the manager, our deal, but band manager, us, will continue to control the catalogue and exactly what we just described, but no kind of shade on Atlantic. That's a phenomenal deal for the band. And, what an achievement for a band from Oxford, to get to the point where they had every label basically in the world, every US label queuing up, to sign it. Because of how much they understand social, because of how much they've grown it, because of the songs. And so, yeah, they were able to kind of choose their adventure with their deal. And I hope for all the reasons you just said, and because they're extraordinarily nice kids, that they become the biggest band in the world. That would be both a selfless and a selfish wish. But yeah, they deserve it. And yeah, I hope very much that one goes perfectly to plan.
How did it come around with signing them? Did you pick them up before they had the explosive TikTok?
So, I mean, they'd had, yes, is the short answer, but they'd had, and this has been our case with a lot of acts that have had kind of virality, they'd had a few kind of murmurs, kind of mini viral moments before the big viral moment. And I think that's probably, I'm sure that's not unique to us. They'd had they'd proven the concept and done it in 4 or 5 different ways before the Danger sound and kind of concept and video went crazy. Yes, we have worked it for about 2.5 years now, along with Ben Carter, the manager. And we found it was just something that spoke to me. Everything we talked about actually is pretty relevant because it spoke to me. It reminded me very much of a band I would have loved as a kid. And I don't know how much you kind of know about the lore of this band or, the content that they make. But despite the fact they're much, much younger than I am, they're kind of obsessed with early 2000s and, bands like No Doubt and Limp Bizkit. And, I don't know kind of where they're finding the clothes, which charity shops are selling like a Guitar Hero tees and things. But, and when I saw them, it just spoke perfectly to me, to the sort of band that I would have loved at 16, 17. I would love to sit here and say, I saw the kind of, the return of pop punk, or I saw the early 2000s kind of thing coming. Not really the case. It was just, I thought the songs were awesome and I totally understood it and wanted to be involved. And yeah, the band deserves all the credit for, understand their audience, understand how to grow as a band in 2025 or before that in 2023 or 2024. But they've also executed, perfectly on the offline opportunities. Yes, it grew out of social and it started there, but you still then have to have the chops when you're thrown into bigger rooms. You can sink or swim. And, I just watched them at Reading and Leeds, and they had the production and the big spray cans and all that. And it looked like they never played a smaller stage in their life. Do you know what I mean? They're just made for that. And that's a credit to them, because it's one thing getting it started on social and understanding that and getting views. But then you're thrown into big rooms or festival main stages. You can be out of your depth pretty quick. And they've just, every single challenge, they've lived up to it.
Does it make it really easy for the label where the band can control that narrative and they know what they want to be pushing out because the marketing is sort of almost done for you?
Well, like I say, that band deserves all that credit in terms of, understanding the fan base, understanding what's going to work on social, and they are obsessed with that type of content, you know, and they've committed to the bit. I mean, the example I give very often was they kind of came to us with a video for a song called Stone Cold Summer, and they explained that whilst it had been shot normally, that they were going to put it on YouTube in 480p, or they'd exported it in 480p. And I remember sort of thinking, you know, this video wasn't cheap. Like, this is wild. You know, we put videos on YouTube in 4K, whatever, normally. But the amount of time, they were totally right. And the amount that, firstly, in the comments of that video, a bunch of people have noticed, you know, which speaks to the lore and, you know, all that. And the nostalgia. The amount of times that I ultimately then brought it up in, you know, internal meetings, just speaking to how committed they were to the bit, you know, and how committed they were to this. You know, the EP was called 2005, and, you know, this is how committed they are to this, is that we're putting videos on YouTube in 480p. And, you know, that is all credit to them, you know. That's kind of how in love with what they do they are. And yeah, I think that's kind of spoken to this new audience that, you know, wear the jorts and, you know, get into all that and kind of long for that time when, yeah, maybe when we were growing up.
It's hard to find a pair of fucking jorts now, man.
I can't say I've looked. I think I might be slightly too old for jorts. But they must be out there somewhere, because I see the kids at the Reading and Leeds, and I see the kids at the South Arcade shows for sure. But yeah, definitely there's some comments on there, not just about 480p, but about, you know, where are you finding the Hurley t-shirts, where are you finding the jorts, you know, like all that stuff. Yeah, I wish if I'd had the foresight, I would have, you know, raided a Hot Topic or something in 2005 or 2006 and just stored it for 20 years.
When they were having the discussions with Atlantic, were you trying to get another album off them?
I think in the early stages of those conversations, there was a time when we were making the case. That one in particular, it became pretty obvious pretty quickly that we were in, you know, without getting into any specifics, deep pocket kind of territory, serious record deal kind of territory. And, you know, that's one where you say, you just don't begrudge it. That's one where you say, you know, you guys have earned the right. You know, we knew going in what our deal was. And we've, like I say, we've got sort of 2.5 years worth of music there. And so, yeah, quite quickly, I think we understood the, you know, lay of the land there.